Hey guys, welcome back to Scratching the Gaming Itch. Today I wanted to talk about just why arena shooters died. There was a time when arena shooters were the absolute kings of gaming. Right? You had Halo, you had Quake, you had Unreal Tournament. Those were the games that everyone was playing. And here's really what happened, right? These were games where everyone spawned in with the same gear, the same health. The only thing that really mattered was whether you were better than the other person or worse, right? Map knowledge and ability to control that map and your ability to aim. And that was it. Today, arena shooters are basically an endangered species. And we've seen game after game trying to revive this genre. And I don't know if anyone remembers Lawbreakers. I played that game when it came out, instantly dead. Don't remember how long, but it did not last very long. Quake Champions, I remember being excited when that game announced. It like shadow dropped from Bethesda, and I thought that was so awesome. And I started playing it that day. It's dead. Diabolical was created by developers who wanted a game that was similar to old school Quake. And honestly, it was well made. It was fun. It's dead. Splitgate wanted to take the arena shooter system and add portals to it. And honestly, it was kind of fun. But it's dead. Right? Every single arena shooter that's come out, no matter how good it is, has fallen off. And honestly, I don't think it's because any of those games were bad, or because devs didn't try. I think arena shooters died because most of the modern players just don't want to scale the insane skill barrier that those games demanded. The genre was built entirely on the mastery. And that's just something the average gamer isn't looking for anymore. So let's talk about that. Right? Why arena shooters hit different. Just before we talk about the decline, we need to talk about why they were incredible. And some of those reasons were arena shooters were just the purest form of gaming. The competitions, I remember, I watched so many Halo 3 tournaments. I thought they were so awesome. Halo 2 tournaments and Quake tournaments, they looked cool. And you went insane when those awesome shots were made. Right, you didn't have any weapon attachments, no leveling systems, no loadouts, no perks. You just spawned in and fought for control over what was on the map. You had to learn pretty much everything. The spawn timers for the power weapons, all of the angles you can make, the routes that other players would take, and of course, any of the movement tech that you had to do. Whenever you honestly beat somebody knowing all of that, it wasn't because you had some stronger, fancier weapon or skin with a broken hitbox somehow. It was just because you genuinely outplayed those people. Right, and so because of that, you weren't grinding levels in those games. You were just grinding skill. Right, arena shooters were built for players who loved improving, learning, and getting honestly humbled until things were figured out. I loved that. But it's also a reason why new players won't come, and why, for the most part, they've fallen off. There is a huge skill issue. Arena shooters are hard, brutally hard. Quake is probably one of the most skill-intensive shooters that have ever been made. But you're not just aiming in that game. You're managing your movement at really high speeds. You're trying to read where the enemy's going, time the weapons, control the map, predict the spawns, and it's all going extremely fast. And if you're new and you're not moving fast, you're going to spawn in, take a couple steps, and get hit with rockets and go flying off the map. and you can go entire matches without understanding what you're doing wrong. And then most modern players kind of expect that within a few matches they can keep up with those kinds of gamers. But in arena shooters, they say, well, you're kind of garbage until you play this for like 20 hours, and then you'll be a little less garbage. And people don't want to do that, right? I think we moved to being able to level up and be pretty good right away, like casually friendly games, and have constant unlocks and skins, weapon attachments. And not that they're wrong, it's just that since people have gotten used to this and arena shooters don't have that, it's kind of missing for those gamers. Now, right, the Lawbreakers thing, there were so many like fast movements, strict roles that were being played, and it was like the closest thing to a modern arena shooter that we've seen. And the skill gap was just so big that I think all the casual players were out of there. Diabolical, I loved that game, right? You had these little robots, these small circles. For whatever reason, you had to shoot towards the bottom of them for the hitbox, which I didn't necessarily appreciate that. I was kind of used to, okay, you got aim for the head, which in Quake, honestly, didn't matter too much anyway, but aim for the head there. And new players in Diabolical got flattened instantly, right? Like, people coming from Quake knew how to play Diabolical. The movement tech alone took hours of practice. There were kinds of fun maps that were great to play for a while, but that fun really was directly tied to the skill. And there was only a little audience that wanted to make that climb. And Quake Champions, they tried to modernize things, like with their weapons and, well, not their weapons, they had the same weapons. They had abilities and characters. And at its core, though, it was still Quake, which for newcomers is still brutally hard. Then you have Splitgate. Honestly, if any arena shooter was going to break the curse, it was going to be this one. Right, you had portals, you had some sci-fi maps, you had easy to learn weapons. There was quite a bit of marketing going on. It was free to play, a giant explosion of popularity, and even a modern progression system with skins and a battle pass. So you had those levels, like the people were going to be there and get something to grind for that wasn't just skill. But Splitgate didn't just get players. It had a lot of players for a while, right? It had hundreds of thousands of concurrent players for a little bit, especially Splitgate 1. And people were calling it the Halo meets Portal, right? We loved the game. It was fun. But eventually, it fell into the same trap. Once the newness wore off, there was the skill gap again. Right, casual players were getting deleted by these insane portal jumping crazy people, and the meta got insane. I mean, if you ever watch someone who's actually good at Splitgate, there's tons and tons of back and forth on the portals over and over and over again. It's crazy, it's fast, and I don't know, it's just hard, right? It's that skill gap. And so even with all of the modern systems, the cosmetics, the rewards, the XP boost, the leveling, grind those skins, it still just wasn't enough. Splitgate's actually, it had its first reboot to Splitgate 2, and then it shut down again to re-release in about 10 days. Now, if that game is going to struggle to survive, how are other arena shooters going to survive? But let's be something honest here. Modern gamers don't want the same things as those of us did in 2004 or so. We didn't really care about leveling up or earning XP. We just got better at the game. Right? Today, players want constant rewards, battle pass levels, skins, XP bars, challenges, daily missions, unlocks, these kind of dopamine hits every few minutes. Right? Modern games are like, hey, you opened a menu, here's some XP, which sometimes drive me a little crazy today. But arena shooters still haven't really done that. You don't really get a pat on the back. You don't really get, oh, you're improving. And you don't really get pity rewards if you lose. You just kind of get thrown in with someone who's been playing for that, like, 10, 20, maybe 30 years, depending on the game, and say, good luck. Right? It's not that modern players are worse than those gamers, those older players, but it's that they're looking for different experiences. They don't really want to spend 100 hours learning a movement tech. And most players want to feel like they're progressing somehow, some way. And arena shooters have just been giving you nothing but a beatdown until you learn. So that's overall why arena shooters just aren't catching on. And I say that as somebody who loves arena shooters, right? I love learning those maps, competing mostly with raw skill. Don't get me wrong, there are still communities out there in Quake and Halo. They're just smaller, right? But let me know if you still love arena shooters and if you want them to come back. I'll see you next time. Bye.